you know that a toy that had completely fallen off the map reappeared in Toy Story 5? And now we found out that his fate was just awful. If you stayed in the theater a little bit longer when watching Toy Story 5, you definitely witnessed the epic return of the arch nemesis of the greatest hero of the Intergalactic Alliance, Zurg. After seeing several Buzz action figures landing on a playground full of kids and being adopted by a bunch of them, we can see a boy taking the evil Emperor Zurg out of his backpack, who immediately starts calling the Lightyears his sons. This is yet another forgotten character from past movies who ended up rising pretty much from the ashes in Toy Story 5. But do you know where he was before all that? Assuming we're talking about the exact same action figure in every appearance, the first time we see him is in Toy Story 2, where he reveals his fatherhood and then stays behind with the second Buzz to have a father and son relationship. Keep in mind, they stayed at the toy store owned by the villain Al, who had a huge clearance sale at the end of the movie because he was going bankrupt, which is probably where the second Buzz and Zurg were sold and given to some kids. However, just as the years went by for Andy and he grew up, the exact same thing happened to Zurg's owner, and this person ended up donating the villain action figure to Sunnyside Daycare, just like we see in the post-credit scene of Toy Story 3. So it looks like that little boy who takes Zurg out of his backpack probably went to Sunnyside and asked the daycare staff if he could keep Zurg, thus continuing his life of villainy, in a playful way, of course. So, did you catch the appearance of this forgotten toy in Toy Story 5? Well, get ready, because our list is just getting started, and today we're going to blow your mind. Do you remember the scene where Bonnie's twin neighbors arrive and she hides? Right after that, Jessie rides Bullseye and goes to the back of the house, only to find out that the kids were completely hooked on games on their tablets. At that moment, several abandoned toys pop up from the roof, or from under some leaves. But one of them, an old boat that is simply stuck in a mud puddle, was one of the ones that stood out the most, mainly because of his pessimism, but also because it gave me the feeling that I had seen him somewhere before. That's what I found out, that sailor figure attached to a small plastic boat was actually just one of the forgotten toys from the Toy Story franchise. That's because back in 2012, way before Toy Story 4 even came out, he was part of Bonnie's bath-specific group of toys that showed up in the short film Partysaurus Rex. However, he's never seen at any point in the fourth movie, only reappearing in the fifth movie as a toy abandoned in the mud. But since he belonged to Bonnie, how did he end up in her neighbor's backyard? Maybe Bonnie gave him as a gift to one of the twins, in an attempt to make friends while playing with the hose with her parents in the garden on a summer Sunday afternoon. In other words, he was given away, but he wasn't really considered an important gift. So much so that he was left out in the open to be worn down by time.
Moving on now to the movie right before Toy Story 5, it's impossible not to remember the Bensons, that creepy group of ventriloquist dummies that faithfully served the villain Gabby Gabby. At the end of the movie, we see that the doll is redeemed by Woody's appeal and ends up getting adopted by a lost little girl. But what about her forgotten loyal henchmen? What happened to them? Well, if you rewind the movie a bit, you'll remember that the leader of the Bensons, which was the dummy with the red tie, makes one last effort to help Gabby Gabby, where he goes out pushing the baby stroller out of the antique store and tricks everyone nearby, who believe there was an actual baby in the stroller, giving a massive jump scare to the woman who goes to check and finds the creepy Benson in there, while Gabby Gabby, Woody, and the other toys went to execute their plan to help the former evil doll. Since the sweet old lady was still closing up her shop, it's highly likely that the people who saw the scene helped return both the stroller and the leader Benson back into the store, which leads us to assume that either they're still there to this very day, just without Gabby Gabby now, or they got bought by someone who absolutely loves creepy toys. Another character who disappeared, quite literally, was Angel Kitty. You'll remember her if you watched the Toy Story Christmas special called Toy Story That Time Forgot, released back in 2014, right before the last two movies of the franchise. At first, Angel Kitty is just a Christmas tree ornament, but Bonnie plays with her, calling her Kittysaurus. And the girl likes her so much that she ends up taking her along with Buzz, Woody, Trixie, and Rex to her friend Mason's house to play with them. Throughout the short, she gives a bunch of very spiritual advice, thanks to the Christmas vibe of the short, and at the end, after dropping her final piece of wisdom, she vanishes into thin air as soon as the other toys turn around to look at her. So, before disappearing from the franchise entirely, she literally vanished at the end of the episode, which makes everything even more intriguing. Considering what Woody said about Andy's family's nativity scene toys living up in the attic during Toy Story 3, it's not hard to imagine that the exact same thing happened to Angel Kitty and all the other ornaments on Bonnie's family's tree. So, unlike other toys on our list here, which were abandoned, donated, or simply broke and got thrown in the trash, we can safely say that Angel Kitty is completely safe in the attic of Bonnie's family's house, being taken out of there once a year to serve as a beautiful Christmas ornament that gives out some really great advice.
If you're enjoying the video, subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss any new videos.
If you've watched the first movie in the Toy Story franchise, you'll remember Lenny, the toy binoculars that Woody and his friends used to watch Sid committing absolute atrocities against his toys. And he's also the one responsible for spotting Woody and Buzz trying to make it back to the moving truck. After that, we see him in the deleted final scenes of the second movie, and then we never see him again. At least not in any of Buzz, Woody, and Jesse's movies. That's because we run into Lenny again in another massive Pixar hit, Inside Out 2. He is handed over by Joy to Sadness so she could get a better look at Riley's personality islands.
And it might not seem like it, but this says a lot about the toy's fate. He was probably sold by Andy's mom in one of those yard sales that we see in Toy Story 2. And somehow, he ended up in the house of Riley's family, the main character of Inside Out, since he became a memory that actually materialized and can be used by the emotions. Which is solid proof that Pixar movies actually do take place in the exact same reality. But did Riley's family take Lenny with them to San Francisco? Or did he end up staying behind in Minnesota? That's the real mystery. Still talking about characters that show up in the first movie, let's talk about a toy that also appeared in the fourth movie, but at some point, just completely vanished. We're talking about the remote control car RC. He was absolutely crucial in making sure that Woody and Buzz made it back to Andy. And on top of that, he was rescued by Sheriff Woody when he was stuck in some leaves and about to be washed away in a flash flood, in the Toy Story 4 scene that shows what happened between Toy Story 2 and 3, when Bo Peep was given away. However, after that, there was no more RC in any Pixar scenes. So, what in the world could have happened to him? Considering that he's a remote control car, we can guess that his electronic components might have been worn out by the heavy rain he was rescued from in Toy Story 4. Plus, we can't forget that Buzz and Woody lost his remote controller in the scene where they light the rocket to be able to get back to Andy. Adding all of this up, we can say that RC inevitably became a broken or malfunctioning toy, and his probable fate could have been the city dump, where Lotso is found at the end of Toy Story 3. He's probably alive, but without any of his friends around. How sad. One of the characters that fans loved the most from Toy Story were the little plastic army men. They were the spies responsible for communicating to everyone what was going on down in Andy's family's living room during birthdays and Christmas parties. However, after the kid grew up and was about to move away to college, they were the very first toys to quite literally jump ship, tying parachutes to their heads. But after that, it seems like the winds blew them far away, and for quite a while, since they ended up landing at Sunnyside after all the events of Toy Story 3, and when Lotso had already been overthrown from his position as dictator of the toys, and the management of the place was already in the four hands of Ken and Barbie. So we can say that these toys ended up basically donating themselves to kids instead of waiting for Andy's mom to do it, or even before they ended up at a yard sale, just like other toys did.
We'll stop here, but you can still keep watching more incredible videos. Just click on either of these two appearing for you. Until next time.